toast giver, best man Pete Coluccini.
Mary's so nervous right now because she's afraid of what I'm going to say, and I don't blame her. Best man are two words that have never been used in one sentence to describe me as an individual, that is for sure. My friends will tell you that, the few that I have. So I wrote a few thoughts down about Rich over our time as roommates and friends when I met him. So I know we're supposed to be brief here, but I wrote a couple pages about my friend Rich that I'd like to share with everybody. I'd first like to start by saying what an honor it is to be standing in front of you as Rich's best man. And I also feel a little upset at the same time. I have to be honest, I thought I'd be the maid of honor as well. As I've known Mary longer than Rich, and we are two very good friends. But, with that said, choose your battles. Whatever. So I broke this up into chapters. So the first chapter is entitled, I don't know what's so funny. I'm trying to just be quiet and get through this. It's only 65 pages long, okay? It's entitled Beginning of the Bromance. And this is when I first met Rich at Harvey School on a Tuesday night. It was 7:30. I swung over to Harvey, and I'm going to try to not read, because A, I'm horrible at reading, and my writing is absolutely atrocious, so I probably couldn't read this, I tried. So I met Rich at the rink. You know, I came there thinking I was going to score 20 goals against all these old guys, can barely skate, feel good about myself after. And I look over, and there's this younger guy in net. What's going on? This is my Rick. Who is this guy? Of course, he makes every save in the book, couldn't score at all. You know, what am I going to do? Yeah, 5-hole, maybe 1. So I convinced myself at the end. I tell everybody I scored 25 goals, which didn't happen. But, excuse me, but at the end of it, we went outside and talked for a while. And our topic of conversation was, I believe, was girls who broke our heart. We talked about that for a while. We were a couple beers deep, so it makes sense. And we talked about the capital markets and sports and all this other stuff. But it was the beginning of a good friendship. So we changed numbers, gave each other a hug, and went on with our lives. Chapter 2, our first date. And this is the first true colors I saw of Rich as an individual, which it was unique, I guess you could say. But our whole friendship's been pretty unique. It was a Friday night after work. Rich came in from Trumbull on the train, and I remember it like it was yesterday. The guy calls me up. He's like, "Hey man, I got here." I'm like, "Oh, that's great. Okay, I'll be right over." And back in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, this guy is awesome. You know, he's on time, which never happens. He's on time. He gets here when he says he's going to get here." And I'm like, "Okay, well, you know, let's get going then. This will be a great night." So I'll read through the dialogue I wrote down, and we'll go on from there. So the train arrives. I go, "Rich, you know, walk over the path." And those of you familiar with Stanford know there's a path that goes over to the drop-off, pick-up location, right on the road. And so I was like, "Okay, well, go over there. I'll pick you up." So he walks over there, and I swing my car around, and Rich is nowhere to be found. I'm like, "Rich, where are you, man?" So here's a dialogue that proceeded after that. So I say, "Rich, where are you, man?" Rich responded, "I don't know." It's true. I say, "I don't know." I said, "Give me a landmark." Rich responded to me, exact words, "A big building. I'm next to a big building." I responded, "Rich, there's more than one big building in Stanford. Do you know who that big building belongs to?" So Rich responds to me, "No." And from that point, I started to ask him, like, "Dude, there's like 3 buildings next to the train station. One's UBS, one's RBC, and I think it's RBS is the other one." I said, "The letters RBC in front of the building?" And Rich goes to me, "I don't know, I'm in the back alley." I go, "Why are you in the back alley of RBC?" So Rich walks around 50 minutes later, gives me a call and says, "Yeah, it's RBC." So I swing around and pick him up. There's 3 letters, RBC, 2 stories tall, on the front of the lawn. Rich is there with his duffel bag in hand, coffee in her hand, smiling. I'm like, what did I get myself into? Who is this guy? All was forgotten. We went out for a nice dinner at Bar Taco. What? It was a pleasant evening. I had no stock option there, and it turned out to be a great night. And Rich and I had many of those. The chapter 3, and I'll try to keep this brief because I know Mary's going to kill me. Diamondback. This is where I met Mary. And Mary hated me when I first worked there, and I don't blame her. 6 months went on, we didn't talk, she didn't want to know me. I was like, okay, whatever, you know. Indirect conversation in groups, you know, it's awkward conversation to have people, like, hey, what's going on, the weather's pretty great, yeah, okay, whatever. Didn't want to talk to me. So one day I walked up to Mary and just started talking to her, and she had one-word response to everything I was saying to her, and honestly, I didn't care. So I just kept on talking to myself, like I'm doing right now. And she was fine with it. As time progressed, we became really good friends. I didn't really have a lot of friends in Stanford. She was a true sister to me, and we became very close, and I thank her for that. And I'll keep it to that, because I know if I don't, she'll throw an apple at my head, and that'll be that. So let's get on to the next chapter. So chapter 4 is entitled Pete and Rich Find New York City. And honestly, that's all we're going to say. We found New York City. It's a great city. Use your imagination. A lot happened. I forgot a lot of things, lost a lot of brain cells. It's okay. It was a great time. Okay. Chapter 5. Mary meets Rich. And this is where I take complete credit for this relationship.
My bad, I hit a button.
Alright, whatever.
Keep going, keep rolling.
Alright, I don't know if it's really that bad. It was a typical Friday night. We were getting ready to go out. This is where it gets serious for all you guys out there who are laughing at me right now. I'll probably beat red. Decompressed from work week where Mary first met Rich. And I remember thinking to myself, in the back of my mind, these two really are special individuals, close to me, close to my heart, and they're a perfect match. So I didn't tell them, but I invited Mary to go out with Rich and myself and our friends, and we went out. Not making any comments of are they going to get along or not. That night was actually pretty unique, because the first thing Mary said to me is, what's wrong with Rich? And I said, what do you mean, what's wrong with Rich? She goes, why is he so flamboyant? And I said, listen, he's not that flamboyant. And she goes, why is he dressed the way he's dressed? And I said, listen, I don't like the way he's dressed either, but just get to know the guy. And I don't know what happened that rest of the night, but you know, I have to imagine that Mary spoke to Rich and got to know him for the genuine, kind individual he is. He's always been. He's laughing because he knows it's probably not true, but it was a great occurrence, and I'm glad they both met. This is the last part I'll talk about, and you guys are probably like, get the heck off the stage, man. Mary steals Rich from Peter. Is chapter 6. And I don't want to talk about the present. The present's fine. You guys are here to witness it, so we don't have to talk about what happened today. But this is the most important chapter of my book. I spent a lot of time to write this. We had a great place overlooking the water in Japan. And, you know, Rich started coming home less and less, and I was like, what's going on, man? We got this nice place, where are you? As time progressed, never showed up. I texted him, no response. I called him, no response. And then I was by myself. And, okay, well, you know what? That's how I remember it. I go to work and ask Mary, where's Rich? She said, oh, we went hiking. We went on a camping trip. We went to Ethiopia. I don't know where they went. They went someplace. They had a lot of fun. But as time progressed, I started to resent Mary. And I have no shame admitting that. I'd sit at work for hours on end, and her desk was right across the hallway from our office. With my left arm on the table and the sun reflecting through the window, I'd reflect the actual sunlight into her eyes while she was writing reports for about 8 hours a day, on the half hour, rotating my wrist just to make sure she could not write her reports. And that was my day for the most part. For 2 months at work, I honestly had a tan left hand and I had the meanest watch on the street because I wanted to make sure the face was pure crystal, and could deflect light right into her left eyeball on the half hour. And it worked. It worked for like a week. I got a couple dates out of it with Rich, went to dinner, and that was pretty much it. But then the relationship grew even more, and that's great. And you know, they're here now, and I'm happy for both of them. Which brings me to the last point, and this is the end of this whole entire talk. All right, okay. Everybody calm your brakes, okay? Be great, all right? All jokes aside, you know, Rich, myself, and Mary have been through a lot as friends. Personally, we've been through hard times. Most of the mistakes I've made in life, and which really holds close to my heart, and I can't thank them enough for them forgiving me for the mistakes I've made. I don't know why that's funny, but we'll just go on with it. You know, my father always told me, and as cliche as it sounds, you grow up, you're lucky if you have 5 friends the rest of your life. And all I can say is I'm lucky enough to have my friend Rich so soon in my life. And I can't thank him enough for putting up with my, you know what, the last 4 years. So with that said, please raise your glasses and toast to Mary and Rich, my 2 best friends. I love you very much. And thank you for a pleasant evening and putting up with my, my novel here. Part 2 will be out next year.
And our final toast giver, Maid of Honor, Sarah Long.